Hello, everybody, and welcome back to reviewing every single WrestleMania main event in history. Today, we are on WrestleMania 8 and Episode 8, where we will see Sid Justice take on Hulk Hogan. This keeps the streak alive of Hulk Hogan appearing in or being in every single WrestleMania main event, as the streak of each match getting progressively better was broken last episode if you haven't seen it. I have yet to see this match, so I will be giving you my raw reactions after I've viewed the bout. I have now seen the match, and I will say it's not, an all-time classic, but it's certainly not as bad as the cage match ratings say. This match is rated, I believe, a 1.36 out of 10 on Cage Match, which I think is a bit of a disservice to it. Is it a in-ring classic? No. Is the storytelling amazing? Not really, but I don't think it deserves a 1.36. In fact, out of 10, I'd probably give this about a 5.2, if anything. Let's get into the pre-match antics. So Mean Gene is interviewing Sid Justice behind the curtain, and he asks, "Oh man, I think this will be a barn burner." And he'll probably, after that, will say, "Oh, what do you think?" But Sid just cuts him off and exactly like this goes, "No! Shut up, you fat bald-headed oaf!" And then yells at Hogan for a while, saying that Hogan will be retiring. Mean Gene then says, well, if you look at this interview here, and visibly he looks very sad that Sid yelled at him. He's there yeah, if you look at this thing that Hogan did with Mr. McMahon, and yeah, he cuts to a clip of Hogan interviewing with Vince McMahon, asking him about whether or not he'll retire. And Hogan says that he won't be sure whether or not he will until after the match is over. Sid then comes back on screen and he's smiling. He's and Mean Gene tries to say something, but then Sid, and I quote, says, "Shut up! I don't care! I don't give a damn about the memories of Hulk Hogan." Talks a little bit more, yelling at Hogan, and then the camera cuts to the ring where Sid's manager, Harvey Whippleman, introduces him at WrestleMania, as he calls it. I guess he likes wrestling in the South. Once the in-ring action begins, Sid attacks Hogan as the Hulkster enters the ring, but Hogan's able to throw Justice to the outside, and the whole time Hogan's music is playing, so you can barely hear the commentary. And after he throws Sid out, he starts to do his taunt, because as he's walking up, he kind of looks scared. But once he beats up Sid for a minute, he's ready, he's raring to go, he does all of his taunts, he's happy, and the match begins. The match is really boring for the first 3 to 4 minutes of it, but eventually Sid puts his hand up, ready for the test of strength, and Hogan looks at the crowd. "Should we do it? Woo!" And then he goes in and does the test of strength. Sid originally wins it, and Hogan tries to make a comeback, but Sid stops it and beats him up in the corner. A little while later, after Hogan slightly retakes control, Sid is able to get a chokeslam off. And normally, with a chokeslam, he does it one-handed. He doesn't use his other hand to assist. You want to try and jump as you get hit with the move. Like if I'm getting hit with the chokeslam, oh, no, I'm going to bound up as I do it. But Hogan just kind of falls his legs out, so Sid has to use all of the strength in his arm to lift Hogan up. So Hogan's chokeslam is basically this much effort, which doesn't really help the match that much. So while Hogan is selling the chokeslam, which he has sold like literal death, like he is on the ring, just barely moving, he's like twitching on the ground, Sid goes up to the camera and delivers a pretty short in-ring promo just to the camera's mic and goes, and I quote again, because there's a lot of good quotes in this match, "We have a catchphrase around here. Do unto the man as he would do unto you. But do it first." If you couldn't hear me, because that's exactly how Sid said it, he said, "But do it first," which is a pretty hard quote for a heel. Sid attacks Hogan with Harvey Whippleman's bag as Harvey Whippleman distracts the ref, so the ref doesn't notice that Hogan is getting beat down on the outside of the ring. Sid is able to get the powerbomb off, and I'm thinking, oh, well, I know Sid doesn't win this match, so how is Hogan going to escape this? 1, 2, and then I thought about it and said, right, it's Hogan. He kicks out. He hulks up after getting beaten up for 5 to 6 minutes, abused with a bag, hit with a powerbomb, all of this. He's hulking up, buddy. He gets Sid down on the ground, bounces off the ropes, leg drop. 1, 2. Sid kicks out. And I'm thinking, huh? No one's ever kicked out of the leg drop at this point, keep in mind. And the only reason Sid had to do this is because Papa Shango, who was supposed to interfere, was late. And so a few moments later, you see him jogging to the ring. He's like, oh, shoot. He has to roll into the ring and start just beating up Hogan, which causes a disqualification, which gives Hogan the win, but a bit disappointing for a main event of WrestleMania. The Ultimate Warrior comes back after being gone for a while, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's the Warrior! He comes out, he saves Hulk Hogan, but Sid is able to smash a chair over Warrior's back. Hogan steals the chair from Sid and threatens him with it, so Sid runs off, and Hogan and Warrior celebrate in the ring. This match, as I said, it's not the greatest match I've ever seen, nor is it the worst. I'm actually kind of impressed by how much they were able to get out in only, I think, 12 minutes of in-ring action. And 2 of those minutes were just standing around. I will say, Sid is much better in this match than Hogan is, and it's not close. Sid is, performing power bombs relatively well. Hogan doesn't sell it that well. Chokeslam, tried his best. Hogan didn't try at all. And Hogan at this point, he just didn't do anything. Like, I don't have a Sid either, so I'm just going to represent Warrior here with Warrior. So, if this is Sid and, he's going for the chokeslam, Sid just kind of has to push up with all of his might in one hand as Hogan just falls down. When he goes for the powerbomb, instead of Hogan getting all the way up like this with the powerbomb, he only gets to about here. So Sid's powerbomb loses a lot of effectiveness. And he's a good seller, Hogan. He's really good at coming up from behind and, hulking up and getting those wins. But he just did not look good in this match. And if I go back to that cage match rating that I found, the overall rating is a 1.7. A 1.7 for this match. And I don't think that's Sid's fault. I think it's Hogan's. Let's read the top 3 latest comments. So, 0 out of 10. DQ ending, awful action. Hogan over the whole card, which was better. The same thing as usual, but worse. At one point in my life, I didn't understand the hate of Hogan wrestling-wise. Everything else is obvious. But this match and his ego reminds me why. And yeah, I don't think this needed to be the main event. I will say, if we look at this outside of pure one match, this did not need to be the main event. It should have been Flair versus Savage, which was a classic match. But no, Hogan's got a main event. And what they did is what WWE did in 2023 mostly, not really anymore, where they would market it as like 3 main events. And they marketed the title match and this as 2 main events. The title match is the first half. This is the second half. And that just doesn't work for this match. The second rating, I agree with more. I do not understand why this match has such a low score. Sure, it isn't a Matt Classic, but it's still not bad. Hogan is very charismatic, and seeing him compete at WrestleMania is still entertaining, and Sid is a good villain for him. The spectacle and story surrounding the match were good. This is basically my opinion on this match. I think the atmosphere as which they fought in really helps this match flesh out and develop as a good match. If they were wrestling on like Raw and this was the exact match they had, I would be so bored with this because the crowd would barely be popping for most of this match. None of the other reviews at the top have that much to say, but there is a 6 out of 10 down here that I would like to comment on. It says as follows. This was a lot better than I was expecting, as the conventional wisdom is that this was somehow terrible and one of the worst Mania main events. There are hardly any moves in this match to speak of, but everything besides the ring work was great. I was surprised Hogan was so over here this late in his WWE run. The reception he gets from the crowd really helps the match. Sid cutting a promo in the middle of the match was great. Ending was really weak, but Warrior's run-in helped to compensate for it. I agree mostly with that statement. It is kind of surprising how over Hogan is at this point, given he would leave for WCW just a few short years later. And honestly, this one might go on my top 5. It's that good to me. If we look at my top 5 list right now, it is 6, 5, 4, 7, 3. I think it's better than 3. I think it's better than the Andre match. I really enjoy this match, and I also really like Sid. So I don't know if it's better than 7. It's debatable that it's better than 7. I think the insensitivity of it probably makes it better than 7. So the new ranking is 6, 5, 4, 8, 7. So I hope you agree with me. If you don't, or if you do, leave your comment down below. Share
Sure.
your opinion down below. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, good whatever. Watch former and future episodes of this series when they come out, and goodbye.